It is with deep pride and honor that I do welcome all of you to Papua New Guinea, a historic International Judicial Conference on Integrity and Wellness, and hosting all of you, leaders of our judiciary in country and judiciary elsewhere, as well as scholars and practitioners. We want to say Papua New Guinea is privileged, and I join the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice in welcoming all of you. And as you will possibly see, a snippet of how our judiciary in PNG has anchored the diversity we call PNG today. In case you have not learned yet, Papua New Guinea is the most diverse nation on earth in as far as linguistic diversity is concerned, and in those linguistic diversity, the culture that goes with them also differs from one mountain to another mountain, one valley to another valley, one island to another island. Over 600 islands found in these 462,840 square kilometers of land we call home. And we've been here for thousands of years before government. We were fused into a statehood in 1975. Archaeologists have found that we practice agriculture in the highlands of PNG for thousands of years. One site up there in the mountains called Cook is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We have artifacts that backdates over 4,000 to 5,000 years in museums worldwide. And we have our people, the Motukweta people, for instance, were known and established seafarers. They were trading within. And so Papua New Guinea is an ancient civilization. We have people here. We dispersed our culture to much of the Pacific also. And for those who come from Pacific as one people of one ocean, the Lapita poetry, for instance, that is found in our New Guinea Islands, it's also found in Solomon Islands, in Vanuatu, Fiji, goes all the way to the Maori people. And so we are an ancient people, but as we were fused into one nationhood in 1975, it really has been the judiciary that has underpinned the stability and oneness of our country thus far. And so for me, as head of the present government, we do our utmost best to try to ensure we don't firstly tamper with the independence of this judiciary, more importantly, make sure the structure is relevant going forward so that the judiciary still maintain the oneness we have. And so this conference is very important. It is a clear statement of our intent of our Chief Justice and those of you in the judiciary, as well as the supporting role that the executive government plays. And for us in the Pacific, it is a statement that talks about upholding rule of law as the common denominator that administers each sovereignty from island nation to island nation, and for us in Papua New Guinea, for the diversity we have. It gives security, it gives certainty to how we all conduct our work. And so I want to say the 50th anniversary, you all here, thank you for coming in, joining us. Your participation starts the next wave of consciousness in the mindset of young Papua New Guineans, that it is the rule of law, it is the judiciary that gives emphasis, the continual maintenance of the rule of law in our country. And for us, going forward, we look forward to the work that judiciary will continue to play. This year marks the 50th anniversary of our nation's constitution. Our constitution was gifted to our country on the 15th of August 1975. Last week, the Chief Justice and myself were part of our session at the University of PNG Law Faculty, a conversation on the role our constitution has played. And I want to say to all of you, 50 years on, our constitution has not been thrown into the rubbish bin. There were only less than 50 times there were amendments made, but all amendments were consistent and incongruent to the due processes that the Constitution itself sets out. It is the most revered piece of document we have in our country. It binds the diversity we have. The founding fathers of our country, the patriarchs, consulted widely. It is the most consulted piece of law we have in our country, and in my notes it tells me over 2,000 submissions were received, over 100 meetings were convened, and right across the length and breadth of our country, as well as the fathers of our country did visit other peer nations emerging out of the circles of colonialism, and that document today remains a beacon for national unity, enshrining continued rule of law, preserving our democracy, maintaining human rights, and of course, the continued established separation of the three arms of government. And 50 years on, we may have stressed issues. 2 years or 3 years early on in the life of our country, there was a little indication of clash between the executive arm and judiciary, but slowly it passed and the rule of law emerged bigger. I want to say at this juncture, I thank the founding Prime Minister of our country who, in his entire lifetime, reflected and pointed to all of us that Constitution and rule of law reigns supreme all the time. I was privileged to have served in his cabinet in the early years of my political life, and I was with him in 2011 as a cabinet minister up close, when there was also another moment where a stress between the parliament, a stress between the executive government and the judiciary. But the great patriarch of my country, the late great Prince Sir Michael, counsel all of us young members then that you are not higher than the law. Court is always right. Let's go to court. Respect the court. And that has been ingrained deeply in me. That does not matter what, our court is always right. Let's find our dispute settlement in the rule of court. And I want to give assurance to all of you from the Pacific and all of you from similar democracies around the world over here. Speaking as the President Head of Government of the most diverse nation on planet Earth, you are amongst a nation who respects the independence of judiciary. And we want to commend the present leadership of our judiciary. Both of them have been strong advocates of this narrow declaration. They've been working tirelessly. My Justice Minister continues to brief me on the work they've been doing, and so Papua New Guinea looks forward to contribute to the ambience of judiciary, preservation of judiciary, and the judicial functions going forward into the future. We are doing our absolute best within our country to make sure our judges are okay. We've amended laws where the retrenchments are retirement rather, as they retire into retirement, that the nation still have respect for them. We're making sure that the judges' age of work has now increased to 75, 72, if not 75. And we're now working to insert an appeals court in between our national court and Supreme Court. We have lifted for the first time constitutional constraint of recruitment of judges. Now we've uplifted to possible more than 200 judges in our country. This is work we're doing to making sure our judiciary is protected, secure, functioning, and I've just given my assurance to both Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice. We will go forward to making sure judiciary's administrative support is not subjected to the national government. Judiciary has its own administrative functionality, especially in matters of resourcing and finance. So they could be working on their own, making sure they keep the country in check as we go forward into the future. Challenges will remain everywhere to all judges, and I want to say thank you to all the judges. My Bible tells me in Isaiah chapter 32, verse 22, if I'm not wrong, that the Lord is the judge himself. And so I believe that those of you who sit in the chambers administrating justice, you are the proxy of the Lord himself as you administer justice right throughout your judge administrative areas. And I look forward as a country to give support to PNG Judiciary and for Papua New Judiciary's capacity to be expanded to embrace those in the Pacific. If you need any help, I think in PNG we have more judges than anywhere else in the Pacific. In PNG we have more court systems, more layers of court, from village court, district courts, to National Court, now Appeals Court to come in, and then Supreme Court to be the highest court in the land. So we have capacity. These two gentlemen sitting up front and the judges that they work with are some of the most experienced people in the law sector in our region. And so I want to ask for those who are members of Pacific Island Forum Nations, if there are any opportunity for coexistence, sharing functions, sharing resources, sharing ideas at Papua New Guinea, here in PNG, we look forward to assist any one of you. We now working with the two leaders in front to settle in arbitration as part of our judicial system. We're also looking at mediation as part of our judicial system. And below the level, working with the Chief Magistrate to measure vitality, functionality of our magistrate services, as well as our village court system that looks into the common law of our 1,000 tribes, also being addressed. In terms of the vitality of the entire structure of judiciary, my government is looking at this being the centerpiece of our gift to our people at the 50th anniversary of our nation. We cannot afford to resource less or strengthen independence of our judiciary. Some of you are maybe okay, but for PNG, we are so diverse that there must be only one rule book. There must be only one reader of law. There must be only one administrator of law, and that is the judiciary. Politicians play our politics, and we're very experienced in playing politics, and it differs. As North Pole is to the South Pole, many politicians differ from one another. So two arms of government are heavily, if not staffed by politicians, the parliament and the executive government. And so judiciary in PNG has always been the better arm of our country's three governments. And so it is in my considered view that correct placement of judiciary, its independence, its vitality, its resourcing, its functionality, and the correct link between all courts from the lowest, where all our people live in the villages, right up to the Supreme Court is clearly established and function so that our diversity is strengthened. In this context, I want to say we thank you all for coming in. The narrow declaration and its recommendations is a map forward in which all Pacific jurisdictions work, and we look forward to support. And for those who come elsewhere from similar jurisdictions, continue to advocate and sound the bell for independence of our judiciary. In PNG, whilst we may not have followed yet our constitution, and we have kept our one constitution, a living document, since 1975, and my generation of leaders are working to entrench this so it's not sabotaged, and the vitality of it still lives on. I want to encourage all of you elsewhere in a world that is currently facing so much stress. We must augment the fact that judiciary and justice have a greater role to play in maintenance of law and order and rule-based society going forward. That is the real tenet of democracy, and we want to say that keep on working hard in wherever you are placed. Your DNA of independence, your DNA of making sure that the law prevails is something that every society needs, and certainly for my country. 50 years on and 50 years more, if Jesus doesn't come back within them, certainly the role of judiciary is far greater than anyone envisages. And I want to close by thanking our country's judges and our country's magistrates. 50 years on, and you have played certainly a big part in the maintenance of our democracy and maintenance of our sovereignty and our national unity. And so I step back and say thank you to all magistrates, from the village courts to our district courts, and to all judges. And we've had Chief Justice Tim Salika is our 5th national judge, if I'm not wrong. You're 5th or 4th? 5th. From Justice Prentice was the last expected Chief Justice, and then we had said our first ever local said late Buri Chidu, and we have said Anal Ahmed, still around today, and the late said Mike Kapi, we have said Justice Salama India, and now Sir Gibson Salika. To all 5 of you, and to all the many judges who have served up till today. Your country salutes you. I say thank you very much. Keep on working hard, and we look forward to the opening of our new courthouse. With the new courthouse, our government has invested well over 500 million kina into a courthouse. Oh, 700 million kina. All right. I'm trying to be modest here. The Chief Justice never wrong, so believe me. All right, so we've invested that, but it's not just a symbolic building, and I want to say thank you to the leadership of Chief Justice. It's not just a building. With this here proposed, not just a building, but a technology that runs with it, as well as the structure that carries the judiciary forward. So we said for the first time now, when we started off in 1975, only around 3.5 million people. Today, our population census has only gone past 10 million people. In September 16, I will announce the number of our people. That so much diversity in appeals court is very relevant. And so in the opening of our building, we hope to also make sure the appeals court structure is indicated. And so new court structure is indicated to our country, and the building and the technology and the systems that run with it that entrenches forever the independence of our judiciary as a safety net to safekeeping the unity of this thousand tribe in our democracy. I thank you all for listening. Thank you for coming in here for those who have come from afar off. Thank you for coming here from those who come afar off. As you leave our source when this conference is concluded, please tell the world you've seen the most diverse nation on earth. You've been to the ends of the earth, and we still remain a robust democracy. Independence of our judiciary is very, very strong, and we will entrench it deeper. Our judges here, and for the government and the people, we say pass our greetings to wherever you come from, in your own chambers, to your own family, your community, your own countries. And I want to say it's my distinct pleasure now to declare this esteemed conference opened.